am the only unbought and unbossed politician. Why should I step back?
This is UNBOUGHT Power Hour with Rasha Mubarak. Hey, can you hear me?
I can. They don't.
Okay.
They don't want
want
us to organize.
to organize. You see that? I was like, that's interesting. You see? They can feel the power just within this Instagram virtual space. How are you?
Weird.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
You're breaking up a little bit, but so you had a long day, packed day, exciting day.
Yeah.
Okay, Gabriela,
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of a delay. On Power, I do political strategizing, political consulting, grassroots organizing, and how to continue to inject movement into the electoral process without forfeiting our belief system and continuing to be unbought when we're channeling our Shirley Chisholm and how she was able to be unbought and unbossed with being the first Black congressional woman who essentially ran for presidency. So when I saw you, we spent a lot of time together on the candidate Rooted in Community Leadership campaign school, and I was absolutely blown away by you and how you continue to hold I don't want to say progressive values because I feel like that's abused, but like you're truly people-centered. And especially on the last day when you had us all bawling our eyeballs out. And I've just been super excited because when I look at you, you're exactly what I believe is unbought power, and you're bringing the movement into the electoral process. So I'm just going to go ahead and hand it to you because we have a lot to talk about. It's May Day. We want to center workers' rights. We are both, I'm a daughter of immigrants, you're an immigrant, and just like how everything is connected. And today was also, I want to say, your Canvas launch, and I saw Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib right there with you, and of course, Den. So this is absolutely, it feels like home for me right here. So Mabruk, congratulations, and yeah, let's get to it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. Thank you for doing the work that you do. When you presented during the campaign school, I just felt your power all the way from Florida. Now, one down there is doing really amazing work, and it's really powerful. So thank you, because we do need, you know it, unfortunately, money makes the world work, and in campaigns, we need it. And
right.
we as people of color, as folks that hold identities that have been marginalized, many times we don't have access to those resources, but we can organize. We do have them. If we bring them together, we can build and we can achieve the things that we want to achieve. So just thank you so much for believing that and for doing this work. It's really important.
No, thank you. And that means a lot coming from you. It's interesting because sometimes this work can feel very lonely or very rare to see like how people show up in this work, whether it is through grassroots or in politics. You don't usually see an infusion of being able to understand the landscapes of both, but not trying to win an election by leaving one community behind because of this belief system that it comes at the expense of another group, right? And I see that you understand that. You've previously ran for office, but first, like, talk to us about who you are and how this work has been something since grade school for you, and just kind of talk about your personal story and how you got to where you are now running for office.
Sure. So I always start my story by talking about the first time that I found out I was poor. So as mentioned, I'm an immigrant. I was born in Mexico. And I remember I was in middle school. I was watching my mom cook dinner for us. We were here. I still live in the same house that I grew up in. So we were in the kitchen, right down the room right there. And I was crying to her for new Nikes because all the girls in school had new Jordans and they looked fresh, and I wanted to look fresh too. And I asked my mom if she could buy me new shoes, and she said no. And I couldn't understand why it is that these things work this way, how money gets you things. but I kind of had a sense, and I actually
Mhm.
asked her, I was like, Mommy, are we poor? And she turned around and she laughed and said, you didn't know we were poor? And,
Aw.
and I remember my heart sinking and me feeling stupid and me thinking, no, like, how did I not know this? And really, it was later in life when I realized the food on our table, the heat was always, I realized that we lived our lives with dignity because our food was, I never knew we were poor because there was always food on our table, our heat always
Mhm.
worked, our lights were always on. But later I realized that the food on our table was picked up from a local church or a food
Oh,
pantry.
wow.
My most memorable Christmas was I got home and there was a new bike and a bag full of toys as big as me. Those came from Toys for Tots.
Wow.
My mom worked every single day, 7 days a week, single mother, from the moment that she woke up to the moment that she went to bed, to a lot, and she pinched her pennies. So we lived our lives with dignity. But that's not fair that she had to
Right.
work 7 days a week, that I had to stay home with my little brother to take care of him, because that's the story of many of our families who have
Mhm.
parents who are single that have to be the sole breadwinners. And for me, that didn't feel right. So to your point, my mom really believes in education. She never finished school past the 3rd grade in Mexico, and she
Oh,
wanted
wow.
to, like, for her, it's what she wanted to do. So from a very young age, she said, go to school, get a good education. She put me in the best Catholic schools in Detroit,
Wow.
but
I
still
saw that.
busting her back to put me through these
Mhm.
schools. And in middle school, I actually went to a really great all-girl middle school. It was awesome. Our Lady of Guadalupe in Southwest Detroit. The teachers there were incredible. They were all like women suffragettes.
Oh
They
my
were
goodness. Love
feminine.
it.
I loved it
Which
too.
is interesting because public school or private school, I think, Black and Brown, Indigenous, like queer folk, we don't always have the best experience in grade school, right? So that's
Uh,
actually refreshing to hear.
yeah, no, my middle school,
With teachers specifically.
yeah, in my middle school, it was also more Jesuit. I think, like, less
Mhm.
classic, more like half Catholic, more Jesuit. Um, and really, the women that ran that school were incredible. My school, I loved my middle school, and it was different. We stayed in school till 6 p.m. So we were in school from like 8 to 3 doing school, and then from 3 to 6 it was after school programming. And I remember we would do, the first time I protested was in the 5th grade because
Oh
of my
my God.
in
I thought only Palestinians did that, right? But
no.
I love it.
And in Detroit, here at a very young age, we are taught about the injustices, the racial injustices, the inequalities. We are taught that our voices matter, that we have been siloed, that things, unfortunately, have a lot of racist, so we have a lot of racist systems. So for me, from a young age, I was taught about that, which I'm
Mm,
grateful for. In the 5th grade, I knew about social injustices. In the 6th grade, I knew about sweatshops. The 7th grade, I knew
wow.
destroying the planet. By the 8th grade, I knew that we needed to organize and that we needed to, like, have good leaders. So I've always been, as you
Power.
mentioned, very engaged in this work, and I continue to take my life, my lived experiences, the education that I was able to receive, the mentorship, the guidance. Hi, Dance. Y'all
Hey,
vote for
Dan.
Clark.
I,
He's right. So I'm excited to continue to do this work.
Amazing. So talk to us about, what you're running for and what made you run for office because, Denz is on here and you're here and like I like to believe all three of us come from movement work. And
Yeah,
so being in politics is, I felt a bit unconventional in the beginning, right? But we understand how it's part of our pathway to freedom and equity. So just talk to us about, the importance, and hopefully Denzel's going to be on About Power in June. So talking about his election. So just talk to us about why you want to run for office, the importance, and what you're running for.
sure. So I actually shared a little bit of this story earlier today. Um, I'm running for office because of people like Rashida Tlaib. So I
Oh,
remember I was in high school, maybe my senior year, for freshman year of college, and I was walking around my neighborhood, talking to my mentor, Eric Howard, and I remember there was this weird rumble, just like walking on the streets, there was like rumble, and it sounded like, which is weird. I thought it was like an earthquake, and I had no idea what was going on. So I told Eric, hey, it sounds like I felt like something was exploding on the ground. It made the earth move. It feels weird. Like, what's going on? He's like, that's probably Marathon. That's probably that's the salt mining happening downriver. That's probably corporations
mm,
that are
I just
extracting
got
things.
goosebumps.
without letting us know that they're not supposed to be doing that, because we could feel it in Southwest Detroit, and we're not supposed to feel that.
Wow.
Like, call Rashida Tlaib. I'm like, who's that? He's like, she's our rep. I'm like, why would I do that? She's a politician. Like, do they not care? Like, because I grew up hating politicians,
right,
for the worst, keeping them accountable. And he's like, no, she's different. She's from here. She's really good. She's really dope. She'll respond. And I was like, okay, sure. And I remember I called her, like, with no expectations. It went to voicemail, like, rolled my eyes. I was like, sure. I was like,
major eye roll moment, right?
Like, my name's Gabby. I was told to call you, I guess. Like, hope you call me back. Within 24 hours, she called me back. And
sounds like Rashida.
Yeah. And
you know that she's still like that till this day, I have to say.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the kind of work that I want to do. So she really changed my mindset of what politicians and what civil servants are. They can be held accountable. They can show up for you. And that's really why I'm doing this. I never grew up wanting to run for office or be a politician. Again, thought that was the wrong thing to do. But I've always been told to run. I'm really passionate. I have a lot of anger towards the injustices, and I'm kind of a fighter. So I'm very, very much.
You're very much a fighter, and like you said, like rage is real, but you're able to channel that into how it translates to continue centering the people. So
yeah, and I hope to do that, and seeing people like Rashida who make me believe that not all politicians and not as soon as you become a politician do you lose sight of your people. That really encouraged me to do this work. I did run for office last year. I ran for county commissioner. And to your point, as a movement person, organizer, for me, local government matters. Education, organizing needs to be a part of the work. And I was actually approached in 2019 by a group of local leaders. Actually, Senator Chang was a part of that, who were actively looking to recruit people to run for county government. And I was the only one that said yes. There's supposed to
I love it.
be a whole slate of new candidates, but I was the only one that said yes. And I knew that by me saying yes, I would be the first that would have to expose the county commission seats, expose county government for who they are, which is really powerful people, and making sure that we are all along for the ride and learning together. And I ran to win. I plan to win. I've gone through so many trainings, doors and dollars, all the things. But
right.
I couldn't do any of that. If anything, I remember feeling paralyzed, knowing that I would probably lose because I didn't want to campaign. Also, like, politics felt gross when our federal government was letting people die.
That's right.
People were losing their jobs and the government was not responding. Here, who am I to knock on your door to tell you to vote for me, to be a politician when they weren't showing up for us. Right. So last year, I actually put my campaign on pause for 2-3 months, the pivotal months I know now that people were voting in person, voting by mail. But I wasn't campaigning. It didn't feel right. So I paused and I did mutual aid work. We raised around $8. We provided 300 families in my community direct funds during COVID. I did end up winning election day, which is really cool and exciting.
Yes.
Lost by 1,000 absentee votes.
Wow.
But we gave a 20-year incumbent a run for her money. And
that's right.
Those county governments, and I know for a fact there's at least 2 people that are going to run for county commissioners seats next year. So I may not have won, but I organized, and I think that I did accomplish something. And I believe in the universe. I think that if I would not have done that run, I wouldn't be as prepared for this city council race, which is what I'm running for now. I'm running for city
council. So talk to us about why that race.
So again, for me, it really matters that I'm doing what I'm asked to do. I think many of us have a lot of power. We can do a lot of things, and I will do what I'm asked. And really, I was approached by my sitting councilwoman, Raquel Lopez, who let me know back in January that she was not looking to run for the seat anymore, and she asked me if I would. At first I said yes, and then I said no. I changed my mind. I said, I love my job. It's a good organizing job. I have an amazing team that I supervise. I said no. And then Rashida Tlaib called me.
Did she? I didn't even know that part. I love it.
Rashida called me like a week or 2 later. She's like, Gabby, what is this I hear that you're scared to lose? I got you. I'll endorse you. I'll support you. And I said, okay, like if I know that I have a team, if I know that I have the support that I need, then I'll do this. Running for office is incredibly scary. It is anxiety provoking. I am what I call skinny stress right now. Like we're gonna just like lose weight because you're
Rashida talks about that all the time, about the door knocking, and
it's real. But having good people like Rashida, like you, like my team, like my neighbors, like my friends, really is what encourages me and keeps me going.
So talk about what support looks like for you. I saw Den's, obviously the fundraiser in May is like, please put your link in, let's pin it. And so talk to us about what support looks like for you.
Oh, speaking of, I'm not sure if Jane is still on here, but babe, if you want to link the donation.
Yeah, babe. Please. But either way, I'll post it later, so we'll make sure.
So supporting what it looks like now. So if you live in Detroit, Southeast Michigan, if you're willing to make the drive, door knocking, that is what we're doing. Even through COVID, we are being very safe. Again, I didn't do this last year because of COVID, and I started doing it because Rashida's doing doors. I'm like, so if Rashida can do doors, I can. And to be honest, we're not going to get to our people by not being in their front porch, by not talking to them, by not reaching them. And I know people are concerned with, how do people feel? People actually really like it. People are like, thank you for stopping by. No one's come to my door. I really appreciate this. Folks will go and get their mask and come back out to talk to you.
I love it.
It's really, really nice. Even through COVID, doors have been amazing. So if you're free, come do doors with us. It's become one of my favorite things in the campaign. Again, if you can donate, I have to raise over $100,000. That is my goal, but that's because we have a lot of work to do. I pay my team well.
Yes.
We have to pay our team well. So all those things are super helpful. If you're not around, if you're not able to donate, texting, signing up to do texts or calls, those are super, super helpful. For us right now, it's voter contacts and raising money so that we are able to do those things.
Absolutely. I'll be sure to also post a link, whatever you can donate. And I think a lot of folks, even nationally, we have to understand that we have to support the local, municipal, the state, all of that, those kinds of races, because that's where the foundation of so much of how this work gets to the halls of Congress, right? Or gets to federal, and we have to make sure we're protecting our people. I love that you are still trying to revive that sense of community post or during this pandemic, right? And I think that's the culture, is that people want to see who is going to be representing them. And I'm sure you're on your listening tour. It's like this whole needs assessment, needs analysis of what issues matter the most. And I think, and another point to what you were saying is, yeah, because a lot of these people, a lot of community, a lot of families don't have Wi-Fi or access to computers, or some people have landlines. So like to be able to connect with them virtually is just not always an option. So thank you for doing this work, and thank you for understanding. To your point, also paying your team, I think that's so beautiful. It's important, especially in campaign world. Appreciate that. It is May Day, and a lot of your organizing work comes from a part of it, because you do a lot of work, comes from workers' rights. So talk about your day today. What did you do, and like why May Day is so important to you, and what you've done historically to uplift that.
Yeah. It's May Day. It's a great day. It's an International Workers' Day, which is super important. Workers unionizing is what got us the weekends. Workers unionizing is what got us good pay, better, safer workplaces. And today has been really fun. So it's just been a day of me going to different events, talking about the importance of us organizing, us unionizing, also talking about the Thrive Act, which would invest money into green infrastructure, green jobs, which is what we need. Not only that, also talking about the PRO Act, which makes me so excited. PRO Act, which will protect our right to organize, which is what we need. It would not allow, it would make it illegal. I think it would be illegal for folks, for corporations to fire you for striking. You wouldn't folks would be able to strike, folks would be able to unionize, folks would be able to organize without the fear of losing their jobs, which is really, it's really inspiring to me and really important. I mean, for me, I also talked about today, my first job was at 15 years old as a waitress. I worked at Chili's. Any of us who love
Chili's, baby back roots. I mean, I used to love the broccoli cheddar soup and the fajitas. I don't think they do the fajita thing anymore, but it would come out.
They do. They have good food.
It's Ramadan. Let me stop. Wait.
Right. almost dinner time, but
yeah.
At Chili's, my check literally looked like $3, $5, $7. That was my check. That was after money was taken out because I got paid $2 an hour. So you know how heartbreaking it is to be working every single day to get a check that is less than $20 when you have to serve people who many times don't tip, because unfortunately people of color don't get tips as much as like we want to say that we do. We don't. Tip work is not okay. And that's the work that I did for a very long time. It's really difficult to be in those positions. One thing that I'm seeing now, which like gives me a little hope in the service work, is now that I'm fully vaccinated, that we can
Yay! Hopefully I get to see you and meet you in person once that starts happening again. Maybe once I go to Detroit and I'll be like in between door knocking for you and Dan's like.
Yes, please. Yeah, no, definitely come out. Oh shoot, what was I mentioning about?
Sorry, you saying you just got vaccinated and you were talking about how it's unfair and how much you got paid. So
but my hope and that I have now is, since I'm fully vaccinated, I have been stopping by some of my favorite restaurants again to go. And they are including tip now. They are including tip, and the tip is a lot. The tip is like almost half or like a quarter of your meal. And I'm like, good. Finally.
That's how it should be.
Finally people are getting paid. And like, I may tip more or I may not, because it doesn't matter anymore because it's already there. America is the only country that tip work is like this. And it's also based on racism. Like,
absolutely. All of this comes back to this. And I feel like people, if you were to understand how it like trickles down into every aspect of people's lives. And then when you were sharing, when you were sharing your story about how your mom had to work so much, and it's like, even in that position, it's more expensive to compare in comparison to someone that has a job that pays them well, because it's rent. You never get to be a homeowner, or it's very hard and difficult to become that. So you're constantly paying bills and in debt or whatever it is, or loans and the interest. So just to be able to get out of that is, it just seems this system is debilitating in ways I think that folks do not understand, but continue.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think many times, because we don't see the system for what it is, a system, we, I think, internalize everything, and we become full of shame. So I am actively working on letting go of my shame, but there were moments, many moments, where my bank account had less than $20. When my bank account was in the red, it had like negative $50 because my bill just got paid or something. And I had to work literally shift by shift. I had to work multiple jobs, multiple shifts. When I was in college, I was a photographer. I worked at Chili's. I was a caterer. I worked at the Townsend Hotel, 30 minutes away from Detroit. With my mom, worked there for a long time too. Did housekeeping, did catering. I was working for nonprofits. I was working on campus. And for me, it was like, I need to make sure I work these two shifts to make at least $50 to make sure that I'm no longer in the red, and then I can pay for gas. Because to your point, it costs money to be poor. And I think many of us believe it's our fault, but it's not.
It's something that we internalize and carry, and it shows up with how we show up, right? Yeah. Because the system is also meant to deflate us, disenchant us, to think that we don't deserve, we're not deserving of a better future or opportunity. So sometimes that weighs down on mental health or furthering education or running for office, or thinking that these opportunities are not meant for us. So,
Mhm.
so I wanted to ask also, in this work, because like you said, like even in your last election, right, you basically, first of all, for me, that's a win, right? Because you are running a campaign that is anti-establishment and putting people over profit, and that isn't as common as folks think it is, right? So when you continue to, now that you're running for office again, right? Yes, you are fully seasoned and all of that, but how do you continue to, because it's not like you came into this race and you were like, well, if I want to win, and like how a lot of people do, I'm going to take corporate PAC dollars, or I'm going to, not talk about this community anymore because I might upset, these voters. And so just talk to us about how you're choosing to be unbought, how you've always tried your best, because it's a struggle. It's not something that, like, it's not easy. How do you continue, Gabby, to be unbought, and sharing a story where you've felt so challenged, and how you continue, or taking it back to the drawing boards and having that conversation with yourself, right? So how do you continue to be unbought, and how are you being unbought in this election, or this race?
I think to your question of, for me, I'm really, really focusing on my people, my community, residents. Those are my people. That is my main focus. And I already know, because I've been asked many times, are you seeking support of corporations? Are you seeking support of the mayor? Are you seeking support of the establishment? And I'm not. And I think that's a really good way. I already know for a fact that my opponents have done some kind of something of going to the establishment, going to old heads that have really, honestly, some politicians are just gatekeepers. And that's not okay to me. It's not okay to be a gatekeeper. It's not okay to be a rubber stamp. It's not okay to be there for as long as you have, and have not served our folks. So for me, I don't seek those folks. I don't seek their support. I don't seek their guidance. And I think
you don't understand. I love you so much, because sometimes I'll go into strategy meetings for some of these campaigns, and they're like, well, we still have to try to get these voters and cater to them. I'm like, these people will never go for you. They will never vote for you. So why redirect your resources, your energy, and your funds into that? So continue. Sorry, you hit it on the nail. So.
Yeah. That's it. Who am I running for? I'm not running for the mayor. I'm not running for Dan Gilbert. I'm not running for corporations. I'm running for my people. And to your point, the listening sessions, I'm reaching out to local leaders, organizations, the churches. Those are my people. I'm reaching out to the unions, hoping to get their endorsements, because those are the folks that I'll be working with. And you can look at my finances, the money that I'm raising, it's from my networks, it's from my folks, from my friends, it's from grassroots PACs like Rashida's. It's from people. And I think that is what I'm gonna always do, what I have to remind myself. I'm already thinking about what my team can look like on council. It's gonna look like with now, it's gonna look like some of the folks that I really admire, who I think are brilliant. This isn't just me. So for me, being unbought means making sure that you have people there to check you, making sure to have people there to hold you accountable, and to also build with you. I think that's going to be really.
So you and I talk about people-centered and movement and social justice and people. And so when you say my people, what does that mean?
For me, it means Detroit. My people are, and that's thank you for asking that question.
Of course.
I worry that people think when I say my people, I think immigrants, or that that's Mexicans, because that's not true.
Right.
I'm a Detroiter. I don't know why I'm going to cry. I love this city.
This is a good space. You're good.
As you heard, it has taught me everything I know. It has given me the strength, the voice, the fight, the audacity to believe in myself, which is something that they try to take away from you. So for me, my people are Detroiters. It's Black and brown Detroiters. It's white struggling Detroiters that have been there from the very beginning, fighting next to Black and brown Detroiters. It is working class. It is lower class. It is folks who have no homes. It is folks that are struggling. For me, those are my people, and those are the people that I want to be working with, that I want to be building with, and I want that to be clear. And I also hold many identities. As a queer person, as a woman, as a Southwest Detroiter, as an immigrant, I think for me, I acknowledge all of the identities that I have. I acknowledge the communities that I'm in, and I really respect and love them. And those are the folks that I'm going to be fighting for.
Thank you so much for that fight. And whew, that's beautiful. And I'm glad you're able to, yes, you hold all these identities and you're able to represent all of those identities. But more than that, it's about collective building and what that looks like. So we're here for you. We got you and ready to support you. I think my last question is looking at you and Rashida and Gabriela, you again, but Denzel and when I look at y'all, I don't see they have this 5-year political plan. I'm running for this. I got to start somewhere because I want to end up here, which is absolutely fine because we believe in I believe in God putting me where He wants me is most impactful, it's most meaningful, right? So but what does your future look like? What do you hope to aspire? What is the impact you hope to release into the world and in Detroit?
What a good question. I actually have a lot of fun with this in my own mind. And this is subject to change because I believe that all of the universe and what she offers me. But in a perfect world, I think it would be really fun. And I actually really appreciate Councilwoman Raquel for stepping back after 2 terms, 8 years, because it's possible, to your point, to not be a politician forever, which is, again, did not grow up thinking that I wanted to do that. In my brain, my future would be great if I run and win, be in council for be it 2, 3 terms, whatever terms I need to be in. Make sure that we, during my time, do amazing work, build leadership, build power, build strength. Make sure that things are set in place where, so if I do have to walk away, things will continue to build and be great. I think a part of me wants to learn what it's like to be on the inside and take that outside and take that to the organizing world, to the movement world, to the grassroots world. I'm not against maybe being the consultant and following my I want study trees and just be next to her, have a baby and consulting for movements work and writing books and and resting, right? Because I've been working I've been, so by then I'll be late 30s, 40s, resting, living my life. Really, I want to enjoy the fruits of the labor that we're doing. So I don't think it's fair to think that we should work forever. I'm already actively putting it out there in the universe that I do hope to do good work. I do hope to grow good leadership, and then to hopefully be able to enjoy my life while continuing to inspire, while continuing to provide resources and services for folks. Because I think that's really important. I think folks should see people strive and thrive and do good work and live their best lives. That's so important.
Okay, I lied. I had another question because all you're talking, it makes me want to know more. And I'm just super excited. I know I'm all the way in here in Florida, but I truly believe in collective power and building together and working to achieve a better world. So on that, what does a better world look like to you, and how can folks be a part of that reimagining? And obviously radical rest is so important, so I love that you said that. So yeah,
I think for me, it looks like people who talk about politics and organizing and movement work aren't a special kind of crazy, because I think right now you have to be a special kind of crazy to talk about politics all the time, talk about policies and holding people accountable and what's going on next, right? That's a lot of work. Where we're talking about this at the dinner table, and it doesn't split families up. We're engaged in these conversations. We're acting absolutely a part of the solutions. For me, it's as soon as you're born, you learn about the planet, you learn about your role in it, you learn about how to protect her, you learn about how to fight for yourself and your family. That, to me, is how we're going to do this differently. It has to be normalized. Change has to be normalized. Radical love has to be normalized. And that's why I always say, like, I lead with love. I love without, fear, because we kind of have to. We need to do it. We need to do it. It needs to be different. And I think once we're there, once folks are able to engage in conversations, it's a normal thing to do, to unionize, to organize, to form, then I think we'll be okay.
Beautiful. Whew. Last thoughts, Gabriela. So is today your first canvassing, or was it the first official? Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. So how is canvassing going? And then just last thoughts. And y'all, please support. I'm gonna share the donation link, and just be sure to support in any way possible. Any dollar amount, any volunteerism. I'm sure you have virtual volunteering opportunities available. So yeah, just last thoughts, just a story canvassing, and how we can continue to support you.
Yeah, so I can do a quick canvas story. We have been on doors for over a week now. We announced about a week ago, and I think many of us who maybe not have canvassed before, we might be scared. We're like, oh no, people talking to people and like bothering people. It's actually been really great. So as I mentioned, the doors have been fine. People are appreciative. They are engaged. And I believe yesterday when I was door knocking, I knocked on someone's house. He was young, 20-year-old. I forget his name. Let's call him Joe. But Joe said, let me get my mask. I'll be right out. And he got his mask, and he was questioning me, and I love it. So what do you care about the community? What are your policies? I'm like, let's go. I got this. Like, we should care. That's exactly what we should be doing. And so I answered his questions. We had a good conversation. He's like, well, can I volunteer? And I was like, yeah, sure. We have this thing tomorrow. Come out. And he came out. He showed up today. Friends, and they canvassed the community. So for me, Rashida always says that people remember how you make them feel. I really want people to feel like they are cared for. Like, this work is not just about me, it's about them as well. And I think that's what we should be doing. This is not just about one politician. It's about my new friend, Joe, who's not going to be knocking on doors with us, understanding the process of what it is to hold me accountable in the future, to tell me what he wants to see in the community, and then to do that work. Because then later on, Joe can run for office. And later on, I can support Joe when he's running for office. So for me, all of these things connect. And doing anything from phone calls to donating to door knocks really does impact. And it makes a huge difference. So anything you can do, please do, and engage in this. I think this is stronger with all of us included.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Gabriela. I hope you get some rest today. It was a super long day, and thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for sharing your experiences, and thank you for running and for continuing to center the people, specifically the people of Detroit, and for inspiring people like me. Much love and rage and light, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Precious. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining. Reach out if you have any questions, and thank you, Rashida.
Yes.